Welcome to Chris Parkin Shooting Sports. This is the latest CZ457 rifle and this is the MDT ACC version. So I've just got this out of the box. I'm going to take a few weights and measures off it and then hopefully before it starts raining again I'm going out shooting with it. So to tell you a little bit about it briefly, what have we got? We've got a 24-inch heavy profile barrel. It's threaded at the end for a sound moderator or muzzle brake, and I will be putting a sound moderator on it. Conventional 457 action, you've seen these in many of my reviews. They're no different, they're all the same thing. This one's in 22LR and it's got with it a 10-round magazine. So that fits in this fairly large magazine slot in the bottom there, which we'll just have to get used to. But of course MDT have inlet this stock specifically for the 457 action. So where should we start? Let's see what it weighs to start with, because before I start putting it together I want to know the actual weight it's going to be, you know, at its production size. Let me just make sure I move everything out of the way here. So the weight on there is 4,747 grams, which is 10 pound 7.4 ounces. So it is quite a heavy rifle to start with, but then again it's a chassis rifle. That is what people want. Next information we have is the overall length. Overall length is approximately 42.5 inches, which is 1,075 millimeters. Length of pull as it's been delivered is 13.3, well, nearly 14 inches, 354 millimeters, about there. Now the barrel length is interesting because they have put a long barrel on this, which I believe is a 24-inch, yes, 24-inch 610mm barrel. So that's going to give us some interesting velocity readings. Do we want all this speed? Who knows? We shall find out. Well, I've got the calipers here. Let's just see what the barrel measures. That's a 22.2mm parallel profile barrel. Now, being a 457, the barrels are interchangeable, just the same as the 455, so you can take those out, no issue at all. Bolt release on the left side here, that's the bolt there. Fantastic firing pin system on this, because if I just decock that bolt, you can see, probably on the ceiling cam, the firing pin has got a big flat square top on it which hits the back end of the barrel, so the firing pin itself can never get damaged by any dry firing, anything like that. It's got a Picatinny rail on it. It's marked 25 MOA, which is the same as the one on my LRP. And guess where I've just nicked a scope from to go on this? I've also nicked a sound moderator, and I've got, if I just unlatch those from there, a tier 1 bipod. Now, taking back to the bipod, this has got full-length Arca rail on the underside, barricade stop there, you know, usual PRS kind of stuff. But that, when that bipod's on it, is going to be incredibly stable. So let me just double check I've got the last weights and measures I need from this before I start adding things to it. The trigger pull is adjustable. These triggers are superb because you can fine tune them, you can adjust them. So let's just see what it comes out at delivery time. We've got 1,141 grams, which is 8.2 ounces. Now, of course, these scales do depend massively on how quickly you pull them. If I add that as slowly as possible, 2 pounds 7 ounces. Let's have another one. 2 pound 8 ounces. So yeah, that's becoming consistent. If I really am consistent the way I draw it, it's 1,139 grams. You can adjust the weight on these triggers. Now I don't know yet whether this is going to be available in 22 WMR or 17 HMR, but if I read off the side of the barrel here, it does have the match chamber, and I say it's threaded 1/2 inch by 20. You can see the match chamber logo there. So theoretically this should shoot very well in terms of what the CZ range will do. The bolt knob has got the big rubber end on it there, so it's more similar to the LRP. And then of course here we've got the vertical pistol grip that's, you know, underslung, which is the PRS preference. We've got a bag rider here, we've got M-lock on the bottom there. You can put a monopod on that if you want, and then we've got adjustable recoil pad, so we can change the length of pull. There are 2 lock screws there, and we can space this as we want it. So again, that measurement I just took, if I just spin that approximately maximum all the way out, we're now at 365 millimeters. So that just goes to show you, you can adjust that to your heart's content. I'm just going to put that back in a little bit. probably about there will do me fine. You've got the easily locking little buttons on the side here, you can twist those easily. The recoil pad also has vertical movement in it, you can lock that down, and most importantly we've got an adjustable cheek piece as well, so that will go up and down on the little thumb wheel there. And if I just have a little look underneath there, yes, that is actually also windage adjustable. So if I take that all the way out, try not to lose that, you can see on the underside here, if I just hold that up to the ceiling camera, if I undo those screws at the top, that will move left and right, and those nuts are held captive in those slots, so they won't come undone, so you don't actually need to take it out like I just did. Now interestingly, this rifle isn't yet on CZ's own website. It is on the Sportsman Gun Centre website. Retail price is approximately £2,600, so we'll see what that happens when it gets to your dealer. Now you've got all the adjustability in the stock you want. You've got QD sling anchor points here as well on both sides at the back end. There's nothing on the front end, but of course the front end has got, as well as the archer, it's got a load of M-lock on it, so you can add what accessories you want on the underside or on the side if you want to add balance weights, things like that. So should we start putting it together and make it look a little bit like it means something serious? Now I want that bipod right at the front of this fore end, because the interesting thing is when you put these big bipods on these really long fore ends that are incredibly rigid like this is, you get an incredible stability from the rifle when you are shooting it. Now these bipods have got multi-axis adjustability on them as well, you can move them all over the place. I'm just sort of fighting around various tools and things that are littered in my way here, so that's going to go on there. I'll just pop this sound moderator on the front just because I don't want to make any more noise than I have to. That will go straight on there, 1/2 inch by 20 thread, as we said before. I'm trying to make some space, to be honest, so I can just drop it down a little bit. Pop that down there, pop that down there, do that with that. I mean, you can actually adjust the leg angles on these laterally, so if I pop those out that way, I've got mega stability there. And then of course this has come straight off my LRP. Schmidt & Bender 636 by 56 high performance scope, got clearance there, it's got the same rings on it had before. These are 34mm tier 1 Picatinny mounts, those will just click straight in, back in there. I'll put these back on with the torque wrench, and I wouldn't expect to be doing a huge amount of work to be zeroing this initially actually. I need to just check all this over a little bit more thoroughly when we're off camera before I take it out shooting, but we can go through some of the details. I'm tightening these up to 5 Newton meters. I know people will be massively interested in that. They probably want it in inch pounds if they're American. Can't tell you what that is. I do know most units, but I can never remember torque settings in inch pounds. So there we go. That is kind of set up now. I need to just put that safe so I don't lose that. And there we go. So you've got the big bipod on it, and that's obviously got cant adjustability as well. You can track with it, got an angle on that too. You can change the legs into all sorts of positions, but critically when that's in position there, that is going to be incredibly stable as an actual platform for shooting the bullets from. I'll use a soft rear bag with that, but of course when I get back down behind this scope here, you know, I've got complete bolt operation with very little disturbance to the rifle. So I'm really looking forward to shooting this, and I'm going to get out this afternoon and start testing it on paper, get some muzzle velocities from it. Be interesting to see what the 24-inch barrel produces compared to the 20, or the 16-inch barrel, which I reviewed a couple of weeks ago, side by side with each other, all from CZ457 Actions. Right. Let's go shooting. Well, that's been a very interesting rifle to shoot. The number one factor is today the air temperature was 17 degrees. The speed of sound at 17 degrees is about 1120 feet per second. Now, I was suspicious that this barrel would generate slightly more muzzle velocity than the 16s and the 20-inch barrels have, because this is a 24-inch barrel and it's the longest one I've used from CZ. Now, the gun struck me today as being phenomenally quiet. It's actually running 1065 feet per second with SK Standard Plus and 1085 feet per second with RWS Match. Both of them shot pretty much the same, but it was quite breezy, and as the breeze came up the groups got bigger, and I managed to get one group in just when the breeze had died completely and then it started raining, but that was notably better. I'll show you some of the groups here that we shot. You can see these on here, there's lots of them, you'll see them all zoomed in on screen, etc, and this, that and the other. Some of them better than others, but you know, they're all honest real world groups in real world conditions at 100 metres, so that is that. I did shoot some steel plates as well actually at 50 metres, just to, I was actually testing the product and I wanted to see if it would damage it at close range. It didn't, but they did swing a little bit too vigorously, but that was fine. So telling you more about the rifle, well, as I suspected, this super long forend, which must be 500mm long at least, hang on a second, it is 550mm really to the barricade stop, does give phenomenal stability when you're shooting it rested from a bench or when you're shooting it prone. The barrel is fully free floater, there's no issue about that. One thing you do notice though is the gun has quite an interesting, unusual firing signature, because there is no, report from the muzzle, because it's got a sound moderator or suppressor on, if you want to call them that. But what you do hear is you do tend to hear the stock, which makes like a slight ringing noise. So it's got quite a little bit of a tone of its own, quite an interesting characteristic. I think if you put balancing weights or anything like that on it, that'll deaden that pretty much immediately if it does bother you. But of course anything rubberized on there will also deaden that too. I wouldn't say it was annoying in any respect, it was just interesting to hear it, because that is the pretty, well, you can hear it and we're doing it like that now, can't you? Now, other things to discuss. Bolt action fine. I've reviewed so many CZ457s now, every single one of them is identical in that respect, from the action, the trigger, etc. The trigger is crisp, they are fully adjustable, and they are importantly also easy to dismantle and tune if you want to later in the gun's life. It might need a little bit of an update, bit of servicing, bit of maintenance. CZ designed their triggers so you can do that. You can drop it out the stock, it's got two screws, one at the front, one at the rear of the action, and that allows you to tune it, and as the trigger moves through the years, because they do last for years and years and years, you can make any small adjustments to things like the trigger weight if you want to. They're adjustable from about 1,000 to 2,000 grams. You can also adjust sear engagement if you want to just take away a little bit of creep if anything like that develops. And in fairness, after I've shot this one today, I think I can detect the teeny tiniest little bit of creep, but again, you can tweak that when it's your rifle or when you're ready to adjust it. And I'm just squeezing that as very easily as I can. You can just maybe feel it, but I don't think it is. It's more like over travel. So I am really happy with that. Now, one person put in a comment, what's it like getting the magazines in and out? I have to say I was slightly cautious myself as to whether it will be easy or not. Actually, it's easier than the LRP, because I do sometimes find my LRP is not quite as direct to get the magazines in and out. But to be fair, this one is, it's all right actually, because it comes with a 10 round magazine. It is completely compatible with all CZ's 5 round magazines too, so you can use those without any issue. Now you see, you can hear that little, listen, just its own character, it's like its own voice. Right, in terms of the stock, the ACC chassis, this is of course the vast majority of the price of this rifle. Essentially the CZ rifle you're getting is not much more different than any of the others, other than in fact it's the match chamber like the LRP is, but the stock from MDT does add significant to the cost of the unit. It is very comfortable though. The recoil pad is grippy, of course there's no physical recoil to worry about, but it stays planted in your shoulder, and you can maintain, because the stock and the chassis is so stiff, you can maintain pressure into those feet and it will grip in your shoulder just like that. It's just beveled at the top slightly so it doesn't snag, and you can move it vertically. Length of pull adjustment is superb because you can make it fit you, and you can adjust the elevation of the cheek piece here as well as the lateral position of it to get good alignment through on the scope. That cheek piece itself has got a sort of chamfered shape to it, so it's nice and narrow, goes under your cheekbone, it doesn't displace your jaw, and there's plenty of space down here on the stock to make sure that your jaw isn't uncomfortable. Now when you look at the grip from the side, you can see you can slacken those off, you can actually change the reach to the trigger blade itself. So if I look at that there now, that's approximately 75mm reach, but you can probably drop that back another 10mm if you want to. So the forend is long, the forend is stiff, the bipod fits extremely well because you've got the Arca rail, shoots extremely nice off tripod, and you can move it in position, you can get the balance exactly where you want it, depending on what maybe forward weights you put on it too. That barricade stop is nice and secure too, so you know, leaning into a post or something like that with a thin bag on top, I found the gun very comfortable to shoot. Bolt manipulation is light, it's swift, and of course with a gun that weighs 4 kilos, that bolt manipulation isn't actually affecting the aim much at all. You've probably got another kilogram of scope on top, and by the time you've added a moderator, bipod, things like that, you know, this thing's weighing 6 kilograms probably by the time you're actually going to be competing with it or shooting with it. And of course that is regardless of whether you put balance weights on it. So there we go. I am not surprised at all at the way the gun shot. The action, the barrel, CZ, it's all familiar to me. They shoot really, really well. Today wasn't the best day for shooting tiny groups because it was breezy, but I still think the rifle shot well. And most importantly, from my perspective, I know that I could shoot the rifle with great ease, and it was a case of it was me being the weak link, not the rifle, and certainly not the link between me and the rifle, because the comfort and stability it offers when aiming and placing those shots, especially from a very stable position like a bench or prone, is superb. Wind is wind, that's just what you got to deal with. Now, I could have shot it closer if I wanted to, shot smaller groups, but I just wanted to plink and play around with it, and frankly, it just did everything I could have asked it to do. I'm not personally a PRS competitor, so I don't have quite the specific requirements they have, although I have got a red dot sight on here and a big scope, and I can certainly shoot the rifle with great precision. This rifle scope particularly will allow me to dial it to long range as well, and of course if you've set up and got your ballistics tuned in, you can dial as you wish to do. muzzle velocity from this barrel at 1065 or 1085 feet per second with standard velocity ammunition is, in my opinion, optimum for getting the best without any kind of transonic issues. So I am very keen on this rifle. Now hopefully I will get the chance to take this out maybe another day this week or next week with identical weather conditions, and I'm going to shoot a box of this ammo or that ammo through each of the 3 CZ barrels I have, the 16-inch barrel, the 20-inch barrel and this 24-inch barrel, because I want to just test velocity difference between those 3 barrels in identical air temperature and atmospheric conditions. Right, well I hope you've enjoyed watching that review. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, comment and click the notification bell and keep track of the regular uploads. And don't forget, your comments are what inspire me to make more interesting reviews and answer some of those questions, hopefully in an upcoming review. Don't forget to do a search through, because there are over 700 videos on my channel and a lot of them actually feature rimfires, particularly CZ457s, because well, there are actually a couple more yet to come now, because there's going to be a new Ergo stock, which is a synthetic hunter, and I think there's going to be the range model as well. Those are both on the CZ website. This one isn't actually on the CZ website yet, but it is on the Sportsman Gun Centre website. So thank you to them for the loan of this rifle. And if you want one, I would get one quickly, because I don't think these are going to last long. Yes, they're expensive, but if you want deluxe, well, it does cost. And in fairness, this rifle has been a pleasure and a joy to shoot, and I will be slightly sad to see it go. Right, thank you for watching. Bye for now.